getting ready now for a steady pull away from the home shore. We're out to find adventure anyhow.
So that's Ralph Reeder in the 1937 movie The Gang Show, and it's a tune that's still sung today by Scouts up and down the country as they put on one of their shows. It was Reeder who wrote and staged the original all-Scout variety shows, performing sketches, songs and dance numbers, and some 80 years after that movie, the Scouts gang shows are still going strong. Have you ever been in a gang show? Are you working on one now, perhaps? Paul Bailey is from the Staffordshire Scouts and joins us now. Hello, Paul.
Good afternoon, or good morning still.
It's still just, yes. So the gang show's an interesting thing, because for me, and I spoke to my producer about this, and he's with me on this, and I think for a lot of people, this is something that's on the periphery of our awareness. But if you're a Scout, of course, it courses through your veins, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, although I know it's 1937 when the film came out. It first started in 1932 in London. Okay. And then it was only some 2 years later that it was Stoke-on-Trent that picked up on the second gang show, Screamline, which as I guess started in 1934 and ran all the way through. The last Screamline was actually in 2007.
So Stoke-on-Trent are early adopters of this then?
Very much. It was certainly during the 70s and 80s, Stoke-on-Trent and probably North Staffordshire as well was a hotbed for gang shows. There was up to 7 different district shows as well as Screamline running throughout that period. And then you go outside Stone and Stafford, the same was applying then. So it certainly has a very strong tradition in the Stoke-on-Trent and Newcastle area.
So what is a gang show for anybody who's never seen one?
A gang show, I think it's been described in the past as a high-speed review. It's a show that probably lasts around about 2.5 hours, split into 2 halves, probably about 20 items in there, consisting of song, dance, comedy, sketches, and it's, as I say, it's been historically it's got a very, very strong hotbed in Stoke-on-Trent.
All starring Scouts, presumably.
Yeah, well, when Scouts, starting from the Beaver section, all sections, so Beaver Scouts, Cub Scouts, Scouts, Explorer Scouts as they are now, Network Scouts, and then leaders. So a cast in theory of from the age of 60 up till, well, whatever you want to put top limit on that, in theory 86 if you wanted to.
Who writes the material? Is it the old material regurgitated, or is it written and added to each year, or do you write it locally?
Well, I mean, Ralph wrote a tremendous amount of music, and the song that you've just played is probably the one that's most synonymous with that, and it's unusual to go and see a gang show where that's not sung. And so some of that material is still used, but the tendency has to be, since probably for the last 30 years. I mean, the last London gang show was in 74, so obviously Ralph stopped writing material then. It tends to be done on a local basis, but that local material then sits in a national database where you can pull it from or apply to use it from there. So, but within the Stoke-on-Trent area, there's always tended to be a theme of Stoke and North Staffordshire in there.
Yeah, and lots of local references, I guess.
Very, 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 very much so. From whatever it may be, anything that was being celebrated at the time, items about the city, the Garden Festival, lots of different things, Stoke City, Port Vale, lots of things along those lines, yeah.
Who goes to see these shows? Is it just the parents?
No, it's a cross-section of people. I mean, the parents, of course the parents are going to go along and support. Parents, wives, partners will go along, but also you'll get scouting supporting it as well, and then the general public too will go along. So probably those are the 3 categories within there. Yeah.
And and how much practice do the children get with this? And is it quite intense?
From a cast point of view, each show probably takes in the region of 3 to 4 months to actually rehearse, with probably 12 months planning before that. So the tendency is that they're around about the Easter time. I mean, Stone Gang Show was on at the Mitchell Arts Centre last week. It tends to be around the Easter time, or maybe in the early December, late November time. And I know Birdie Boys will be on in the Mitchell Centre again in November this year.
Yeah, I've seen the posters.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating stuff. I mean, isn't it a curious thing that's lasted all these years?
Yeah, it is. I think some of the things that, when Ralph started this back in 1932, some of the things that he was aiming to do there, to allow young people to develop and give them the confidence that they need, well, that still applies to, today, getting close to, 100 years later, that's still there. You may see a young person, young boy, young girl, of, I don't know, 6, 8, 12, come along very, very shy, and then 13 weeks later, you'll see the development after they've stood on a stage in front of, well, in some instances, in front of thousands of people, and sung solo songs, and the feedback that you get back from the parents is amazing. I don't know what you've done to them.
Put a bit of grease paint on them, put the limelights on them. Another child.
Yeah, that's something like that, yes, very much so. Yeah.
Great to speak to you, Paul, and long may it continue.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
It's Paul Bailey from Staffordshire Scouts. Have you been in a